What is something you used to think people were over-exaggerating about until you experienced it yourself? How fast time feels like it goes. Every year feels like it's going faster. The other week my 10-year-old nephew said, "Wow, I haven't heard this song in forever." The little dude was referring to 9 months LOL. I mean that's 7.5% of his whole life. Migraines. Pure agony. Splitting head, nausea, ringing ears, light hurts, sound hurts, moving brings pain, dizziness, muscles cramp, even my teeth hurt. Until I finally fall asleep from exhaustion. But then, 45 minutes later when I wake up, a euphoria that is unmatched by anything I've ever experienced. Edit, based on the comments I've gotten on this, I'm starting to think there are 2 types of migraines. Probably more, but can be grouped into 2 categories. 1 migraine lasts for a few hours, you take a nap, then feel great. 2 migraine lasts for a day plus then you feel like shit for a week. Are these 2 different things maybe? A proper toothache. Tooth abscess? Never seen my husband cry till those 3 days when we couldn't access doctor for pain relief, antibiotics, etc. Back pain. Oh yeah, let's lie on the floor at Walgreens for a little bit and wait until it stops. I never knew why my dad always chose to lie on the floor after coming home from work until I hit my early mid-20s. It sucks so bad. Edit. I appreciate the advice. I've been to the doctors a few times already in the past few years to check out my back. I regularly work out after my office job and maintain a healthy diet. Also, it's not just back pain, my legs have a spasm when I sleep on my back or side. My RMT noticed the fucked upness of it and gave me exercises to strengthen my back and core too. In the end, it's just me being lazy to apply myself. I guess I'll have to go see another doctor and figure it out for good. Back pain has me convinced that we have not fully developed as a species. Stand all day? Back pain. Sit all day? Back pain. Back pain. You really can't understand back pain until you experience it. There is no powering through true back pain. Your body stops working and you collapse. Panic attacks. I thought I knew what panic attacks were when I was younger, and though, why are people making such a big deal out of this stuff? Turns out, I was never having panic attacks. I was just nervous and thought that's what people meant. When I actually had a panic attack, I thought I was going to die. And even then, for some reason I feel like that was one half panic attack. A few years ago I thought I was having fucking heart attacks. Went and had a full cardiovascular study, blood tests, EKG. Nope. I was having fucking panic attacks. All because my teenage daughter kept getting into these huge arguments with my wife, her stepmom. Edit. There's no real story to the arguments. It was really just a cocktail of clashing personalities, resentment, frustration, and a whole lot of hormones. I was stuck in the middle with both sides upset that I wasn't supporting them enough. Also, simply understanding that they were not heart attacks made them go away. I think the arguing would cause my heart rate to jump, then my body thought something was wrong, which made it worse. Anxiety. I thought I understood and didn't understand the big deal until I really felt it. To say it controls you is an understatement. Absolutely agree. Being at war with yourself is ASS. You know every strength and weakness within your own self. There is no reasoning with anxiety. Hot flashes. I didn't think they were this bad. I'm a 31-year-old man who took Wellbutrin for the past month and hot flashes are a side effect. I thought you just thought you were hot. No motherfucker, you are. You're super hot legitimately. And you have to do something about it or you'll go insane. It's not in your head. It's your brain raising your temps until you can't focus on anything else. This 56-year-old woman says yes. 45-year-old woman here who has had hot flashes since I was 39, yay, early menopause. LOL, no, it sucks. My hot flashes have been so bad that my glasses have fogged up. I have gotten nauseous from my hot flashes. I have soaked through my pajamas and sheets. I have literally slept on those big freezy things with the blue liquid inside that people put in ice chests instead of ice. I have stood in a freezing cold shower wishing the water was colder. I have been in the middle of professional meetings and had sweat start running down my face. Hot flashes are no joke. How much a kidney stone hurts. Most people expect it to hurt the most when passing a stone through the urethra. Nothing prepared me for the pain as it passed through my kidney ureter. 1 second I would be fine, carrying on conversations, prancing around nimbly-bimbly. The next second I would be keeled over, crying in agony, losing my lunch due to the sudden onset of crippling pain. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. Chronic illness, there is absolutely no way you can truly understand the impact unless you experience it. Just that idea of always being sick and you will never not be sick again, and you're expected to participate in society just the same as everyone else. It's deeply fucked up. And no one believes you. It's been years, get over it. I battled cancer for 4 years and yes, it's in remission now, but my body is trashed and done for. No immune system, multiple surgery taking chunks out of my body, experimental treatments with no real data on long-term side effects. Every single time I catch a cold, I either get pneumonia, or am laid out for weeks, constantly in pain, constantly sick. But no cancer, so I guess I won and need to quit being a baby apparently. It's amazing how once you're in remission you just get dropped by everyone now that you're not going to die. I can't be the only one who feels this way, right? The physical pain of getting older. Damn. The emotional pain too. I get so nostalgic and teary over the past and how much has changed. It's a weird grieving process over losing your youth and the way things were. Waterboarding. We were drunk and figured it's just water. Hold your breath and you'll be fine. Then I volunteered to test it out, and it was the absolute worst. Waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay sounds rad as fuck if you don't know what either of them are. I thought the same of pepper spray. Same situation, drunk and thinking, oh, it's just like cutting onions. Yeah, no, I was gasping for air, coughing for 15 minutes, and my eyes hurt for 2 days. 0-10, do not recommend. Christopher Hitchens was a skeptic of waterboarding's severity as well. He was subjected to it in a controlled environment. He was then no longer a skeptic of its severity. I have mad respect for his total and immediate 180 on that issue. It's not torture. Gets tortured. It's torture. How great homegrown fruits and vegetables are. I figured that was just gardener talk justifying their time-consuming hobby. Then I bought a house where the previous owner had a vegetable garden and orchard. That spring I saw these things coming up out of the ground and thought, is that asparagus? Cut them and cooked them and they were incredible then. The plums ripened. I never even liked plums, but I thought I'd try one, so I pulled it off the tree and bit into it. Well, that's not bad. Pretty juicy. Fresh picked fruit is far juicier than the stuff in stores. So anyway, I ate another plum and then another, and the next thing I know I'd been standing there eating plums for like 5 minutes. And the juice is literally running down my arms and dripping off my elbows. And those hard and sour strawberries you buy in stores are nothing like soft, sweet strawberries slightly warm from the sun that never make it into the house because you just sit in the garden eating them as fast as you pick them. And of course, tomatoes. OMG. Once you start growing your own, you will never be able to buy another one in a supermarket. In case you were wondering, a significant chunk of the reason for this is that fruit tends to be picked just before it becomes fully ripe, so that it'll last long enough to make it to the store, especially if it's one that they're going to need to put away so that there are fruits in the middle of the off-season. The difference between humid and dry heat. I saw a thread where some motherfuckers were trying to argue that dry heat was worse. I'm Australian. Unless you're up north, it's all dry heat, and I take dry heat every day of the week over humidity. You can't escape humidity. Old people telling when rain was coming based on arthritis symptoms. Edit. There's a few studies that show no correlation, one older one that showed some correlation, maybe others that cast doubt on the correlation. But it's very hard to prove a negative, and the science seems heavily overshadowed by medical practitioners like radiologists, who say there is a correlation because of barometric pressure. I also found it super interesting that the people who mentioned these studies in the comments were downvoted to oblivion. I wavered back and forth about making this edit, before realizing I value accuracy more than karma. Edit 2, typo on downvoted. I ripped my kneecap out in a bad bicycle accident in high school. I'm 40 now and can barely walk before a big thunderstorm rolls in. The death of a pet. I knew it would be horrible, but I thought it was just a few weeks of grieving. I lost one of my cats to illness, and I didn't even cry. I was in so much shock, nothing felt real, And even to this day I still start to choke up when I think about her. Edit. The cat's name was Judy. Reading these replies has me in tears. Our babies are only around for so long, so we have to love them for every second we have them. We lost one of our cats almost 13 years ago, and my husband to this day cannot talk about it without tearing up. Tinnitus. It's torture. I don't mind it much cause I've had it since I was born. That means I don't know what proper silence is. You know that grief you see in dramatic movies when someone gets horrible news via phone call and just crumples to the floor wailing? Always felt like melodrama to me, until I got the call that there had been an accident and my dad had died. Edit. Thank you for all your messages and sharing your own stories. I'm going to try to respond to everyone. I'm sorry for your loss. It's really terrible to experience. I had the opposite problem when my mother passed from an accident. I thought I would just crumble, but it was just so surreal that my brain couldn't seem to emotionally process it. I remember being in the receiving line and just looking over at her and having this "what the fuck is happening?" sort of bewilderment. Often the people I've cared most about, I've been really surprised at how my grief played out. It's been about 9 months since, and I still have a sort of weird sense about it. Like having I haven't called mom in a while, I should do that this weekend, and then remembering, or being surprised that she's not in my list of favorite contacts on my phone. Using a bidet. I thought it was just weird and unnecessary. But during the great COVID TP shortage, I bought a bidet attachment to save on TP. And what a game changer a bidet is. I feel nasty using TP now. My first experience of using a bidet was in Vietnam. I had eaten some questionable street food and had explosive diarrhea. The bidet offered sweet relief as opposed to abrasive toilet paper. I highly recommend them. Skinny dipping feels incredible and miles different than swimming with a bathing suit on. And getting out of the water is 1,000 times better with no wet, soggy, saggy bathing suit attached and clinging to you. Just wet, free and clear towel off. Insomnia. After 3 days, you don't even have a sense of self. You become a zombie of exhaustion. When your a-hole brain finally gives you a break, you sleep like 4 hours. Enough to flush part of the waste out of the brain matter but not to function in any capacity. I only had this level of insomnia once in my life, and it has convinced me of the need to have a machine to help put you under. Fuck that. Fuck that 1,000 times. The human brain is amazing but so fucking stupid at the same time. Like bro, I know we are stressed but if we don't keep working, you are going to be stressed and starving. Honestly, addiction. When I was in junior high my dad had an injury at work that ultimately resulted in a pretty bad opiate addiction. I didn't understand how someone could prioritize a pill to such an extent, or how awful they could be if they didn't have it. And then I grew into a person with crippling anxiety who discovered Xanax. The rest is a decade-long story of how I learned empathy and a lot of other hard lessons. But to have been so naive. Sigh. Restless leg syndrome. I went to rehab and got clean from multiple substances in July 2021 and developed it about a month or so into sobriety. Holy fuck. I definitely thought it was just like some kind of tic where you had to move your legs. But that is not the fucking case at all. Edit. My doctor prescribed me baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, and that has helped tremendously. It's so annoying. Sometimes when I go to sleep and it starts, I feel like I can kick a tank into the atmosphere. Feels like I have 2 spirits on coke in each leg. Not fun. What helps me though is using my legs during the day. Get some energy out. If I haven't moved much that day, I usually just do some squats till my legs are tired. Might not work for everyone, but it has helped me a lot. That. The older you get, the faster your life goes by. Please slow down. Seeing stars. Thought it was an exaggeration until I had a very bad coughing fit, and suddenly I'm seeing stars. Perfectly fitting terminology. Happened to me when I was running really hard. I looked up and my first thought was, holy shit, they really are stars. Depression. The dead giveaway that people don't understand is when they ask, what's making you sad? I am not sad, I feel empty, and there is no reason for it. That's the worst. What's wrong? Fucking nothing, I have zero justification to feel this way. Giant sequoia trees. When I finally saw them in person, they looked fake. I could not comprehend a tree of that size. Being suicidal. As a stupid teen, it made seem to me in most cases to consider it as simply an overreaction. Like, ugh, I'm so pissed off, I'll just kill myself. Like, don't be dramatic, just chill and you'll snap out of it. Think of your family, friends, the good things you have. PSA, do not fucking say those things to a suicidal person, it will almost certainly result in the opposite of the intended effect. In my mid-20s, my mental health took a massive nosedive and I learned that it most certainly is not a case of being dramatic during a case of the blues. It's your brain winning an argument against itself, and insisting death is the best choice. No more pain, no more being a burden, selfish not to end it all. I didn't want to die, but I didn't know how to want to live anymore, if that makes sense. For 2 years I was on suicide watch, my meds monitored, as I tried to remind myself daily that this was my mental illness lying to me and it would be temporary. It's immensely painful, I swear. The mental pain would become so strong you could feel it in your chest and throat, like a very deep bruising after being punched. I've spoken to other people who experienced similar symptoms and thank God, I thought I was going nuts if I could physically feel mental illness. It was all in all a horrible experience. I'm still pretty mentally ill, but I take care to avoid getting to that stage again. I believe you can't truly understand being suicidal unless you've experienced the feeling, but it's something I hope nobody here ever does, or has to consider. I'm alive because I'm a coward, and honestly I'm okay with that. Every time I tried I'd pussy out at the last second because the existential concept of death terrified me more than the guaranteed pain of continuing to live. Now I'm on drugs and it's better. I still think death would be easier, but my life is better than it was a year ago, and that is enough to make me curious about how it will be in a year. I don't have to convince myself every morning that I can endure one more day. Period cramps. I had severe appendicitis, and I thought it was indigestion or something because period cramps are way worse. How heartbreaking it is to see your child suffering, and you can't do shit about it. God. I read a comment a few years back about someone whose 6-year-old died of cancer, and at the end there was nothing they could do, they were just with him, and he was scared and in pain and there was nothing they could do, and they watched him die. I couldn't stop thinking about it for days. To be 6 and you understand that you're going away forever and your mom and dad can't come with you, and you're scared but they can do absolutely nothing. They can't help you. Fuck. I wouldn't be able to live with that in my head, just eject me from the universe at that point. This, you're only as happy as your most unhappy child. Hope you and your child are okay. Dentist chiming in, tooth pain. I knew academically how painful they could be, until it happened to me. You know the pain is serious when you start looking forward to the inevitable root canal. Sex with someone you're deeply in love with. What a beautiful, heartwarming comment from Anal Blaster 42069. Heartbreak. I couldn't comprehend that level of emotional pain until I experienced it myself. Heartbreak will change a person. The zombie movie trope where someone hides a bite from the group. I always thought nah, people are better than that. But then COVID happened and people are not better than that. I had the same feeling about Jaws. Like what the heck, they would not just keep the beach open. People would not just go to the beach no matter what. Then COVID. Turns out they would keep the beach open and people will go, no matter what. How incredibly amazing narcotics feel. Had back surgery and was hooked up to an 4 of Dilaudid with one of those buttons so you could give yourself a little treat every 30 minutes. Holy fucking shit. I have never felt pure heavenly euphoric comfort like that before, nor have I since. I can completely see how people get addicted to the stuff. When my wife and I had COVID, we were prescribed a cough medication that had codeine in it. Now, despite being a big dude, even small doses of any sort of drug that makes you sleepy seems to hit me like a truck. And every dose of that just made like 8 hours of my life just disappear. Like it would start to feel really good for a few minutes, and the next thing I know the clock had skipped ahead like 9 hours. Combine that with the fact that the first night we had gotten some horrible information about something that happened to a close family member, and that codeine provided an almost immediate escape from having to think about it. While I didn't get hooked on it or anything, it was so easy to see how people can become dependent on it. Heartburn and indigestion. Absolutely this. Also, I didn't realize what I was experiencing was heartburn because it felt nothing like burning but like a balloon in my chest. What a fact? Panic attacks. Like, don't get me wrong, I knew it was serious. But I didn't understand the depth of how awful it feels and how 100% it feels as real as any other panic. Only happened to me one time, and it felt like that moment before you get hit with a baseball bat. For like an hour. How much parents really do want their kids' energy. So much about kids I underestimated. How much worse hangovers get as you age. That was a tough lesson. I'm 58 and went to a pub crawl with a buddy. Got absolutely hammered. The hangover was a legit 3 days. Fuck that. How much stress can fuck you up physically? When I was a kid, my mom had a horrendous job in a call center that made her so stressed she could barely get out of bed on her days off and was plagued by a mysterious allergy the doctors couldn't figure out. I figured it was depression at the time, but as an adult, I know it was literally stress because then it happened to me. My last job fucked up my wages and left me with pretty much nothing for food and bills after my rent for about 2 months. I got so stressed out I shed almost all the skin in my mouth, lips, had shooting pains in my arms, my skin broke out, my nails became really brittle, I was constantly nauseous and really gassy, bloated with no appetite, chest pains so bad I was sure it was a heart attack, and then like the day after the next payday, I suddenly felt pretty much fine because I wasn't as stressed anymore. That was in April, and by mid-May I was 99% back to normal. My jacked up nails are still a little janky, but they grow slow. Sinus infection. Felt like someone was hitting my head with a hammer. You ever have a run-in with a corrupt cop? Good times. I'll never forget being approached by 2 uneducated cunt cops who snuck up on me as I was taking my luggage out my trunk. Cop 1, you smell weed. Cop 2, I smell it. Cop 1 asks me, where's the weed? Me, I just got here after a long drive, no weed. I tell them I'm going to get my wallet and do it slowly. I show them my corrections ID and their attitude changed instantly. Fuck you pigs. Corrupt cops are disgusting. I was at a party once with some friends when I was 16. Cops showed up and told everyone to leave, so that's exactly what me and my group of friends did. We were walking back to my house to continue the night. We're a well-behaved group of boys as well, mind you, and a group of officers were following us. One was a senior officer, and he kept yelling at us all to fuck off and get lost while constantly waving his flashlight in our eyes. I turned to him and said, "Look, you've asked us to leave and we've followed your instructions. Can you please leave us alone?" He responded with, and I quote this word for word, "Shut your mouth, you little cunt." So I responded immediately with, "That's fucking disgusting. You're supposed to be a police officer, and we're literally 16-year-old kids," which he didn't like, and so he started hurling verbal abuse at all of us. So one of my friends had finally had enough and told the officer to fuck off. Next thing I know, the officer runs up to him and pushes him as hard as he can, launches him off his feet, and he lands on a concrete driveway. Another one of my friends pulls out his phone and records and says to the officer, "What the fuck are you doing, cunt?" The officer then runs up to him and grabs his phone, pegs it on the pavement, then punches my friend right in the jaw and nearly knocks him to the ground. I was so angry, and to be honest, we all wanted to beat the shit out of him but knew we couldn't. We all felt so powerless as there wasn't a damn thing we could do as he was a police officer. The other officers stood by and watched. The look on their faces screamed that they knew what the senior officer was doing was wrong, but they didn't do a damn thing about it. The next day we all went to the police station and reported it. Nothing was done. My friend had to buy a new phone, and that officer still works in that station to this day. It's fucked up when the people who are supposed to protect you turn on you. Adulthood. I'm the opposite. I've enjoyed adulthood far more than childhood due to the freedom to choose what I want to do and how I want to do it, compared to childhood where most things were chosen for me whether I liked it or not. Yes, it comes with additional responsibilities, but the additional freedom of choice is well worth the trade-off for me. Shrooms. See, I've done shrooms a few times in my life, and I think lots of people actually do over-exaggerate shrooms. People have told me stories like they were walking on a rainbow or whatever, and I'm like, are you sure you weren't on acid? The most I hallucinate with shrooms is like, wow, those lights look cool, or, are those rocks moving? Nah, I'm just tripping. Yeah, it's definitely not weed. Sleep paralysis. I really legitimately thought I was going to die. My retina were burnt in a way where I couldn't even close my eyes or look away from the impending doom. I felt slimy blood come out of my ears as my tinnitus got progressively louder. A creature was slowly advancing, my chest compressed. All until it suddenly went away, right before the kill, and I regained control of myself. Every single story I hear of this from people that have it freaks me out to the highest level. One of my biggest fears is waking up to some dark figure at the end of my bed, and it seems to be a common theme of sleep paralysis. I hope that shit never happens to me, because even after I wake up I would never get over it. Exploding gallbladder pain. Oh yeah? That's the 10 on my pain scale. I've had abdominal surgery that hurt less. The doctor gave me a test tube with a bunch of the gallstones. The buggers were fusing together in groups of 5 and 6 before trying to go through the bile duct. Loneliness. Brain fog. I had an alcohol withdrawal seizure in March. My short-term memory and sense of time are absolutely shit right now. On the plus side, I haven't had a drink in over 90 days and I don't want one. Rape statistics, 1 in 4 or 1 in 6 depending. I had to experience that for myself and meet other women who went through it, and then I was like, oh. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It is truly shocking when a group of 3 girls in their 20s has 1 rape survivor, 1 attempted rape survivor, and 1 sexual assault survivor. None of us knew this before we were friends, and it's absolutely eye-opening. Panic attacks, anxiety phobias. It seems so OTT until you're the one uncontrollably sobbing in public. Embarrassing and enlightening. Depression. Respectfully, I didn't really think people experiencing depression were over-exaggerating, but I just had no idea what it could feel like. In my case, I did MDMA one weekend and that fucks with your brain chemistry, and the Monday after, I guess my serotonin levels crashed because I just couldn't do anything and absolutely nothing lifted the despair I felt until it went away. I had an exam coming up and the thought of opening a textbook felt like it would require as much effort as if my parents asked me to build an addition onto the house before dinner. I tried a bunch of shit like strong coffee, making an awesome sandwich, calling a girl I really liked. That day was a total write-off. Thank all the gods it lasted one day and I've never experienced since, nor tried MDMA. To anyone who experiences clinical depression regularly, my heart goes out to you. Honestly, how hard it is for someone to leave a toxic relationship. When I was younger I used to think, yeah, no way if ever let someone treat me like that, no way. But it's like you have blinders on when you're in that situation. Almost like you can't see what everyone else sees, and when they try to tell you, it just rolls off you like water. It leaves you feeling mildly uncomfortable for a bit, but you give it long enough and it goes away. Even when you start noticing the lies piling up, start admitting to yourself that maybe you're being abused, catching the slips of their infidelity left and right. I lost a few friends that tried to tell me what was going on before it was suddenly like my head was above the water. I was awake, and almost hypocritically I still look back at myself and think, why didn't I just leave sooner? Paranoia hallucinations. I kinda only viewed it as something I saw on TV. But about 8 years ago a doctor put me on the wrong combo of meds, and for about 7 days I was experiencing both extreme paranoia coupled with hallucinations. Everything I saw during that time was basically not real and not happening. I called my mom and told her I was in the ER and they were abusing me. Until all of a sudden 10 minutes after I hung up I came to in my bed. But to this day I would have bet you so much that was real. I also saw things that were not there in my apartment, and kept sending pictures of these things to my mom, but they were just normal pictures of my apartment. Heartbreak. Dude, I'd felt physical pain in my chest while wanting to scream at the ceiling and throw my phone at the wall. It's a lot, at least for me. Falling in love with someone you can't be with. Daydreaming about them being with you, even though it is definitely not possible, and being unable to stop that daydreaming because it provides a sense of comfort of some sort that is one of the worst parts of it. Cheese in Europe. Always heard coworkers talk about how much better it is than the US. Went to a conference in Lisbon and stayed in a modest hotel. The cheese at the breakfast spread was the best I had ever had up to that point. Cheese in Wisconsin wins global awards. It's a question of what grocery stores you shop and not where you live. The exhaustion of parenting small children. I used to burn the midnight oil in school and stuff, and I thought I knew what sleep deprivation was. Holy crap, babies are on another level. It's not like finals week which will end, or a party you chose to go to. It just grinds on and on. Paradoxically, because it lasts so long, you get much less slack than you would if a one-time emergency kept you up all night. It goes on for years at a level most people would call a crisis, if it was brief, but it's just your life and you have to somehow do it. Breaking a leg, in the movies they look like they're in so much pain and they can't move and all that, but when it happened to me I didn't have only joking, it hurts like a bitch. Kidney stones. I knew it would hurt, but I thought it would be nothing more than bad period cramps. Well, I am not religious, but I was crawling on the floor praying to any or all gods for the sweet relief of death. I don't wish death upon bad people, I wish them kidney stones for the rest of their life. What is something you used to think people were over-exaggerating about until you experienced it yourself? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.